Welcome back to Global Bike Buzz. Today, we're spending some serious time with the 2026 CFMOTO 450 mount, a bike that's been getting a lot of attention in the mid-capacity adventure touring scene. The adventure market has been growing faster than ever, and every manufacturer is trying to capture riders who want something that's practical on the road, capable enough off-it, and not too intimidating in terms of size or price. That's where this machine comes in. The 450 mount sits in a sweet spot, targeting new riders moving up from smaller displacement bikes, commuters who want weekend fun, and seasoned adventurers who want a lighter, simpler second bike. Over the next several minutes we'll explore every angle, starting with the exterior design, then going deep into engine performance, handling, comfort, and of course pricing. By the end, you'll know whether this deserves a spot in your garage. Walking up to the bike from the front, the presence is immediately noticeable. That 21-inch spoked front wheel dominates the view, wrapped in a dual-purpose tire that tells you straight away this bike is built with more than just tarmac in mind. The front suspension is beefy, upside-down forks with generous travel, painted in a metallic finish that hints at durability. Above that sits the LED headlight unit. You also notice the ground clearance when looking from the side, at just over 200 mm. It's enough to handle trails, gravel roads, or the occasional rocky track without scraping the belly. The skid plate underneath is basic but functional, protecting the sump from loose stones. From the rear, the bike looks trim. The LED taillight is slim and modern, integrated beneath a small luggage rack that doubles as a grab handle. The rear fender extends out just far enough to keep mud off your back, which is a nice touch for real-world use. The exhaust can is positioned on the right, angled slightly upward but not so high that it interferes with luggage options. The spoke pattern on the 18-inch rear wheel complements the front, and you can see the rear disc brake clearly, giving it a mechanical and purposeful appearance. Standing behind it, the bike doesn't feel bulky. Instead, it looks ready for an adventure backpack, with space for soft panniers or top cases. Now, the real meat of the matter, the engine. Under the frame sits a 449cc parallel twin, liquid-cooled motor. What makes this engine special is the 270-degree crankshaft layout. Instead of feeling like a flat, boring twin, it gives the bike a pulse and a character closer to a V-twin. It growls at idle and sings when revved out, producing around 44 horsepower and 44 Nm of torque. Those aren't jaw-dropping numbers on paper, but remember this is a middleweight adventure machine. In practice, it's more than enough for cruising highways at 120 km/h, and it's torquey enough in the mid-range that overtakes don't require frantic downshifts. The 6-speed gearbox slots cleanly, and the clutch is light with slipper assist, making it forgiving for newer riders and less fatiguing for experienced ones. Performance on the road is surprisingly refined. At city speeds, it's nimble enough to weave through traffic, though you do feel the taller front wheel during quick turns. Out on the open highway, it settles into a rhythm, humming steadily without excessive vibrations. That's partly thanks to its dual balancer shafts, which cancel out most of the buzz you'd expect from a smaller twin. The seat height, around 820 mm, is manageable for many, though shorter riders might find themselves on tiptoe at stops. Off-road, the 450 mount behaves confidently on gravel and dirt roads. The long travel suspension soaks up ruts, and the bike's weight, while not feather light, is still within reason for riders who want to explore trails. Turn off the rear ABS and you can slide the back wheel a little when cornering off-road, which adds to the fun. The stock tires, however, are more road-biased than true knobbies, so if you're serious about venturing off tarmac, upgrading tires will make a big difference. Braking performance is handled by J.1 Hardware, a respected Spanish brand that CFMOTO has used across several models. The front brake has a 4-piston caliper clamping down on a single large disc. It doesn't bite hard instantly, but it gives progressive stopping power, which is reassuring when the surface isn't perfect. The rear brake feels light but is useful for trail riding. ABS is well tuned, and the ability to switch off the rear makes a noticeable difference off-road. In terms of electronics, you get a crisp TFT display, bright and colorful even in sunlight. It shows all the essentials: speed, revs, gear indicator, fuel, trip data, and can even pair with your smartphone for navigation prompts and call alerts in certain markets. Traction control is available, though it's simple compared to big-budget machines. For many riders, it's more than enough safety tech. There are also USB charging ports on some trims, a must-have for touring. Riding comfort is generally strong for a bike in this category. The upright handlebar, mid-set pegs, and wide seat make long days in the saddle possible. Wind protection from the stock screen is decent up to around 110 at 120 km per hour. Taller riders might want a taller screen for highway touring, while shorter riders will appreciate the compactness of the stock one. Vibrations creep in around higher revs, but they're far less intrusive than you might expect. Passenger comfort is surprisingly good for a bike of this size. The pillion seat isn't plush, but it's usable for medium journeys. When it comes to fuel economy, the 450 mount does well. Expect somewhere around 25 to 28 km per liter depending on riding style, which means with the 17.5-liter tank you can get a solid 400 plus kilometers between fill-ups. That range is a big advantage for touring and makes it competitive with larger, thirstier machines. And now, price is arguably one of the strongest selling points of this motorcycle. In most markets, it undercuts its rivals by a significant margin. While the Yamaha TA copyright 10A copyright R8 copyright 700 offers more power and more prestige, it also comes at a much higher cost. The KTM 390 Adventure, often cross-shopped with this bike, is slightly cheaper but less powerful and less comfortable for two-up touring. The Royal Enfield Himalayan is very close in spirit, but it's heavier, slower, and less refined, though with a strong following. The 450 mount positions itself right between these, delivering modern technology and adventure-ready features at a price most riders can realistically stretch to. That makes it appealing not just to young riders but also to more experienced bikers looking for a practical second option that won't break the bank. So, where does that leave us? The 2026 CFMOTO 450 mount is not trying to be the ultimate adventure bike. Instead, it's trying to be a balanced, affordable, approachable machine that can take you almost anywhere you'd reasonably want to go. On the highway it cruises comfortably, on back roads it's engaging, and off-road it's capable enough to give you confidence. Yes, it has a few shortcomings as the throttle response at low speed could be smoother, the stock tires hold it back from real off-road glory, and some of the finishing touches aren't as refined as premium competitors. But considering the overall package, it's hard to argue against the value. For riders stepping into the adventure segment, this bike offers a lot of bang for the buck. And that wraps up our detailed review. If you enjoyed this breakdown of the 2026 CFMOTO 450 mount, hit the like button and subscribe.